Hi, and welcome to The Porch. And this is with, tonight, we get to interview Tim Gittings.
Howdy.
Tim, how long have you been in the company?
This is my 13th season.
Oh my gosh. You like to say though, it's your 20? Oh.
This is my 29th as an audience member. And I count watching the Zoom things as you know.
What's that mean?
No, because it would have been 29th being in the audience up there. So I'm not actually in the actual outside audience space this year. But like,
you were in the Zoom.
But there's a time where I like to still be able to watch it with that perspective, because it reminds me of why I love it so much and why it's special to me.
That's cool.
You know what I mean?
Then that's right. My first question is, what's your first memory of APT?
The first thing I ever saw here was Midsummer Night's Dream in '92.
Oh wow, was that David Frank directed that one?
Yeah.
Yes. I think so. I just saw photos.
It was Valerie Lance.
Oh,
back when it was just Valerie Lance.
I was just on the phone with her.
She was in that, and I thought it was amazing, and I loved it. And I was camping with my family, because we're originally from out west, like Colorado, New Mexico.
Right.
And we moved here when I was a kid, but we would come camping in this area because it was the closest we could get to something really, really pretty. Like we're like, oh my God, this part of Wisconsin's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you can actually camp.
Right.
And so we would come up here all the time, and then we found out there's this theater. So we went to go.
And how old were you?
See, I had just graduated high school, so I was 18.
That's cool.
And saw a play, and then my family was all heading back the next day, and I was like, I'm gonna stay another couple days. And they let me come watch one of their rehearsals, and I watched a rehearsal for Our Town.
Did you just like go up and ask somebody?
Yeah, I was just like, you guys are amazing. This is great. I want to see more of this. It's like I ushered one night. I saw 2 more plays.
Oh my god!
They let me usher. They let me come in and watch a rehearsal for Our Town. Well,
no
I was
wonder.
Yeah. And
where'd you sleep when you were here?
I was camping.
So you had your camping gear. They didn't take that when they left.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, I had my own little tent, so.
So when did you know that you wanted to like spend your time here? Like when did you figure out that like this was not just as an observer but as a performer? Like when did you think this could be like a home?
I mean, it ever since that first year, it was always a kind of a touchstone, because my best friend and I, we went on totally different journey. I was in New Zealand for a year, he was in Nicaragua for a year. Like we were all over the world and doing different things. And the way we stayed connected was we met, went camping, saw plays at APT.
Oh, wow.
And that was our ritual every year.
Oh, wow.
That Andrew Carlson, amazing man.
Did that happen the year after you were here with your family or later?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started it pretty much right away. And then we just did that every year, no matter what was going on. We met up and camped, and we both were doing all kinds of different things. And at one point, he was teaching. I was teaching Pilates and playing in a band. Like we were on different paths, but we all still we did acting a little bit here and there. And then at the same time, we both were just like, I actually think we want to do this. I want to focus on this.
That's cool.
And it just so happened we got married in the same month.
Not to each other.
Not to each other.
Okay.
We were each one's best man. We were like
both
at each other's wedding. And then we both started grad school right after that. And my goal with starting grad school was like, okay, I've always liked doing this. I've found a way to act a little bit professionally every year for a while now. Maybe I should. This is what really speaks to me. And then when I got into grad school, I went to the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. And the whole reason I picked that school, the schools I was looking at, was that, okay, it's gotta have a really strong classical component, ideally with a rep theater, and it has to, pay me to go there because I couldn't afford it otherwise.
Yeah, that was a smart move. Smart move for an actor.
I got in there, and my goal was always to be here. I didn't know if it would ever happen. I didn't know if I could make it work, but that was my goal. So I tailored everything to fit that.
What was the first year you worked here?
My first year was 2008.
And you were in?
And that was Henry IV, the combination of parts 1 and 2.
Right.
And I think I'm trying to remember if that was I played the salesman in Odd Wilderness.
Right.
And
I remember that.
I'm trying to remember, was that the same, was Winter's Tale that year, or was Winter's Tale 2009?
I have no idea.
I think it might have been might have been Winter's Tale that year, but it might have been the next year. Yeah.
And then did you think, I want to be here?
Oh yeah.
What about it? Specifically, what about it?
Well, like it had always been the pinnacle. Like I thought I saw consistently the best work here. I saw work that spoke to me. I saw it in an environment that resonated with me. I mean, I love the outdoors. I'm a huge outdoorsman.
Obviously, yeah.
And
you were a shepherd.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
not everybody knows that he was an actual shepherd.
I was.
Yes,
and that
you
was,
watched sheep.
And I actually would practice when I was over there.
In New Zealand.
Which was after I left a month or two after I saw that first play.
Yes.
I had a copy of Shakespeare with me that a collected, it was like a little, like not everything, but like some stuff with and I would bring that with me in the fields and I would read Shakespeare to the sheep as a way of saying it out loud.
Yep. Well, yeah, it's good to read it out loud.
You know?
It's better that way.
And you gotta practice. And
you gotta practice.
And they're not gonna like whatever I say anyways, so, because they're just like, meh. Why are you saying that? So
it was the environment and the kind of work, the quality of the work.
Yeah. There was just like the director, the film director who just passed away this past week, Alan Parker, had this great quote about what the job of a director is in his mind, and he said it was it's to look for the magic in every scene, even if it's not where you expect it to be. And what I loved about the work here is that it always seemed like somebody was looking for that. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, how can we do this play? It was like, what makes this play work? Why come back to this play? What is it about this unique group of people that we've gathered together to tell this story that kind of comes alight, that has a luminescence to it, that has a spark to it? And I feel like that's something that everyone that works here just takes more seriously than other places, where they maybe they like a certain, it's this star vehicle, or it's this clear idea, or it's this show with this concept. But like I really feel like even when all those things are part of it, that the way the work gets done is because people are like, where's the magic? Where's the life in this right now?
In pursuit of something intangible. In pursuit of something that will make it light up.
Yeah, and ephemeral, and the way that the performers meet the audience and the audience meet the performers every night. There's compared to other places I've worked, there's a lot more kind of flexibility in that you're doing your story every night. You know what I mean? You know what you're doing, you're hitting your points, but like there's a flexibility, like those shows breathe.
So John Langs calls, the second time I called him to ask if he wanted to come back after he did his first Miss Alliance, which I thought was a really good show. And he was super young, if you remember. I mean, he was super young, right? I mean, he was younger than a lot of the actors. Yeah. Certainly, he was directing people who are a lot older than him here. And not to name any names. No. He said that it felt like it was like walking through fire. What do you think that means? He's a director who's directed a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, like the thing is with Langs, I can see that coming from a couple different spots depending on where his mind's at that time.
Right.
But like for me, I would interpret that as that there is a process, and everybody is they're so good, they're listening so hard, and they're so invested that if you let it, you will purge the dross and the bad choices and all the other things away. Like you can use that heat to strip away what is not essential and important, because everybody wants that. I think that if you get bogged down in the times where I do a job that I'm not quite as happy with, are the times when I'm a little bit more concerned with how I'm coming across, or I'm a little insecure about something, and that's not letting that heat do the job. But we've got that opportunity here. I mean, we've got how many years of experience on that stage collected in one room?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you've got this group of talented, amazing people that have really given themselves to this, and that can bring
an intensity.
That can. It can burn away so much of what's unessential, and that's why the core of the play can shine so brightly and seem so new when we see it, because the other stuff just...
And that's hard, though. I mean, that's a process that's not for the weak of heart.
Oh no.
I know, and we've talked about that, like how terrifying it can be.
Yeah. Well, and it's also one that like it demands that you bring your best. It demands that you show up every day.
Right.
And some days, we're human beings.
Like human beings, absolutely.
You know, and
it scares you. I mean, lots of people have sat in that chair just be like, yeah, that I don't know if I'm up to this. I don't know what this will require of me.
Yeah.
And this room will require of me. And I think that John was feeling that a little bit as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's there's a pressure in the best kind of way of just being like, oh my God, everyone, this is really good. Okay, I just can't let anyone down. I can't drop the ball.
That's not helpful. That's not helpful unless you can get to the other side of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that can be pressure that's really just dissipates all the good.
It's good in that it can be like, it can give you that little extra reason to be like, oh no, okay, I'm showing up today.
Yeah.
Like,
but it can, I hear you. I could feel that.
You see it in the difference with a really well managed baseball team. Always has that.
Yeah.
They have that flexible, the year the Cubs won the World Series. It's one of the most beautiful moments in my life. But what was great was you had all these just fiery young players and some great smart veterans, and the way they were managed was their love was honored and preserved and supported.
Right.
And they had to, they knew, oh well, he's playing that hard, I got to play this hard, and it was like,
and being there to support each other, obviously managed by the managers. Oh yeah. Also managed by each other, right?
Oh
on
yeah.
Some level. I mean,
there was a collective sense and that you saw it grow throughout the season of like who they were together as a group and what they could accomplish. Yeah. And that's what it took to overcome that kind of curse.
Years
that
was
kind of it was 108.
108 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not a baseball fan clearly because I knew it was a big deal because I went to there was a big party at the shed and stuff, so I went to watch those games because it was super fun. But
oh my God,
you guys were crazy. No wonder it was 108 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, what have you been most proud of?
Like personally or collectively, or both?
How about both? Let's do both. Personally, what have you been most proud of?
Man, I mean, I'm trying to think if there's a specific moment, but I mean, because
what you were talking about, like the
things that like I feel that sense of pride every season on nights where we just really get it right, and I don't mean that to say that we're perfect. I don't mean to say that, but I mean nights where like everybody's there, the words are hot and fresh, and the audience is right there with you, and you realize that you've got 1,100 people that have come into a space to do something and to make some magic happen, and it happened. And every time that happens, I feel this huge sense of pride and accomplishment.
Can you speak to one performance or one play or one?
Oh God, I felt that we had some stunningly gorgeous nights on Book of Will last season.
Oh yeah. That feeling was really palpable in that audience.
Oh God, yeah.
They were making something happen.
Yeah.
They came with an appreciation.
And the way Tim O'Sell directed it, and like the end with people coming out through it was just brilliant. And the second half of that show, and you realize the strength of that show when you've got like Jimmy and Jim out there.
That was beautiful.
I mean, that scene, that was one of my favorite personal things to do there's always a play, there's always a scene that I fall in love with, and then I find a place to sit backstage for it each night, because it just kind of helps recharge my batteries.
That's cool.
Like the scene in bed during Our Wilderness at the very end of the play when Tracy and Henry are talking to each other, and in the moonlight, and I would just sit backstage and just let that scene wash over me. And
Henry, yep.
But I mean, I'm proud of all the way that Comedy of Errors in 2009. Bill Brown wanted to direct a road comedy version of
it. It really was.
Yeah.
That was like a party.
Yeah.
That show was like a party.
And when we have that thing we want to do and we do it, feels fantastic. I mean, there were some African company nights where like we were telling a story and we all, like, everyone just dialed in and was like, oh nope, we can go further,
yeah.
and we would reach something of transcendence in that. And like those are the things that just.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you wish you could like do over? That's always the thing that like haunts a lot of actors. Like they have that idea that all of it should be done over and they could do it better next time. But what is, like, if you think back and you think, first give me one of your performances you're really proud of. I mean, you were right away. There is a meticulous, giddy joyfulness when you are. No. It's. I use the word meticulous because it's so specific to what you're excited about. And I saw it the very first time in Henry V when you played the
Elise,
and you were.
Oh, I loved those scenes.
Yeah, you were just alive and joyful. And the minute I saw it, I was like, "What is that? That kind of deep?" And you're describing what it is. Mm-hmm. And so, is there a performance that you were like that felt like that for you?
I was going to say
that one.
Because
oh my God, it was just.
You realize how special and how beautifully crafted those scenes are within the world of that play. Yeah. It's such a martial, like, it has so much kind of traditional masculine energy, and it's all this conflict, and then you get to see this really loving, humorous relationship. Yeah. These two women navigating all this uncertainty,
right?
But with a kind of a real compassion for one another and a lightheartedness that is so different from the rest of the play.
It's
so
in such
beautiful.
Contrast and such relief to it. Yeah.
And I mean, also getting to do that with Carrie was incredible because she was
Carrie Coon, right?
She was.
Let me think.
Carrie Coon. She was perfect.
She was perfect
for that, and she brought so much of that. Like,
she kind of is that at the center. She kind of has that kind of light that's kind of like going on in it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's that's part of what, some of those moments that really light up are when the two people can bring the parts of themselves that naturally light up.
Well, I thought your Corin was really wonderful too.
I had a really good time with that.
Oh, you were really good in that. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I had a stretch of a couple of weeks when that was really bad, but Susan was she was working with me on something new a new way of using vocal energy with it, and it was incredibly intimidating and very hard to stick with. But we actually talked with James of like, just so you know, this is going to be bad for a couple of weeks.
That's also part of the process, right?
Yeah, and how many places do you have that freedom to do that? Most other places, you're constantly trying to earn the next job,
right?
Right. And like I love that here it's like, oh no, well let's keep growing as an artist and growing your craft and just because that's going to serve the work.
That is going to serve the work, and it's going to serve the community, which serves the work.
Yeah.
So anything you want to do over?
I mean, I can think of like. Again, it's one of those ones. Sometimes it's like off nights or other things like that. I mean, I can think of times where.
Are you like another shot at it? I'm just not quite done with that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there was. What was it? There was something I was thinking that it was one of those ones. I remember because Tracy always talks about this. How there's those certain roles you get sometimes that you feel like right at the closing you started to crack into it.
Yeah.
And man, what was it? There was some. I remember having that thought on a next to closing night 2 summers ago, and I'm trying to remember which show that was.
2 summers ago. What would we do 2 summers ago?
I mean, I could have done. I felt like I could have done Streetcar longer to dig deeper because there was so much there, and we found so much each night we did it, and it was one of those times. And even then, I mean, we had 17 shows or something like that. We had because it was we got a good solid crack at it.
But it is a role that's a play that is that's why we repeat those plays, right?
And I loved that part, and it was I was really proud of my work on it, but
Yes.
I also felt like there are things I think I trust about myself now that I didn't trust then, that I would like to bring to that.
That's a good answer, I think.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really, I mean, every character in that show has so many insecurities as well as so many clear objectives.
Yeah.
In conflict
Yeah.
with their insecurities,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they don't have any, I mean, the only person that pretends that they have enough confidence and it's a pretense is him, right?
Yeah.
Stanley. But,
Yeah.
but Mitch is such a sweet, darling, complicated, lost soul.
Yeah.
How has APT changed you as a person?
I mean, that's of course the weird thing about being here for this length of time and living here is that, at some point you wonder, like, the only way you can almost even answer that question is to be like, well, what would my life trajectory have been like on a different path? Because
Like when you came and who you are now. I mean, there's all those years of growth, obviously, but
I mean, I feel that I think there's a lot of things I never would have really stopped and dug into, both in my craft, but also as a person. And you can't always separate those. Those things are intertwined,
yeah, of course.
But there is something so powerful about having a home, feeling like you belong somewhere, but also that you are called to serve something, that you have the chance to explore and grow and celebrate the best parts of yourself and your unique spark and what you're drawn to do in this lifetime. And I know that that's kind of a big a big kind of answer, but I think that I just know that it's such a gift. And I think that having that and having the rigor and the importance of the work, and having, because to me it's almost like storytelling is I think there's like any good thing that there's a spiritual element to that. Like there's a thing that ties into your fundamental reason for being and the way that you see yourself existing in the world and your relationship with the world.
I agree.
And that is always going to call on you to grow, and to keep living up to that, to take responsibility and live up to that. And APT is something that is consistently throughout the time I've been here, for the past 29 years, has consistently been inspiring and affirming and celebratory. And because it keeps doing that, it makes me want to be that good. And in some cases that makes it about craft, and it makes it about telling the story better. And in some cases it makes it about, how do I grow as a person to let some of these insecurities or other things go that can get in the way sometimes, that can get in the way of the work. And I feel like it makes me a better husband. I think it makes me a better neighbor.
Right.
I
mean, if you're allowed to like say the things that are terrifying or hard or that you're not accomplishing without being told that you have to go now. I mean, there's a whole power to that.
A huge power.
Also a huge responsibility that comes with it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, now I have to do something about it because now it's about that. But that takes an incredible amount of vulnerability, and I mean, we've had many conversations about that very thing, and everybody has their own version of that stuff. And I always feel like if it doesn't leave someone at a place where you choose to do what's in front of you, like choose to do it, not be afraid to do it or not be forced to do it or compelled, but choosing, because that's who you say you want to be. Right. And then it's not about, then the work is about what you say you want, what you say you want to be in the work. It's not about someone else telling you what to do. Yeah. It takes a lot, though.
It takes, but can't imagine being satisfied with less. And I feel so unbelievably lucky to have
and you
that.
do everything with such an, like I said, like this is like a meticulous kind of joy, that intensity, that you know the possibility of it being brilliant.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't live inside of a hopefulness like that, sometimes that pressure would come back from it a little bit. But what you add to the room is a lot of that, like the anticipation that this could be the thing. And that's there's a double-edged sword to all that.
Yeah. But I think that's exactly the on that sword, that's exactly the edge that I like to keep sharpened by being in having the audience experience every year and doing things that way, and reminding myself from the other perspective of when this works, what is happening, and what is that, and and that's the beauty of starting a rehearsal, and you're with there and like new people and other things like that, and you're like, oh, this is great. Also, guys, I totally know what's possible for this. Like, I know where we can go.
Right. We read the first, it always happens at the first read, you're like, oh my, these guys are amazing, this is amazing. And then it gets a little scary about week 3. And then if you just keep faith and everyone keeps working, you get to that moment where oh wait, we're going to have an audience and we have the best. They're going to, like what you said, come to play. They're going to come to put that energy up there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know that we remember that in tech. I mean, I certainly forget in tech. I certainly forget in tech rehearsal. What do you wish for APT's future?
I mean, because I love the experience of being in the audience so much, I wish that experience on. I mean, I want generations of people to be able to experience that. There's a lot of challenges and trials in the world right now.
Yeah, there are.
And this is a huge moment, not just for our country, but I think for humanity in general. And I think that having places that are committed to reminding us of what it means to be human, of telling real stories with empathy and with compassion and skill, and bringing people together to experience those things collectively and share that is, I think that's an incredibly important part of the work for all of us. And it can be other things, but APT does a unique thing, and that is what people respond to, and I think that has the potential to all help us, whether it's recharging our batteries or allowing us to envision something different or gaining a new perspective and empathetic understanding of someone else's experience. I think all of those things are vitally important. And
as a person who knows about nature, I always try to say, for 26 years I've tried to figure out, like, I agree with you on everything you just said, and I think that it is almost impossible to define what that experience is when you're sitting with 1,100 people and you all get something at the same time. I mean, it's like when you hit a home run, and I'm assuming because I don't see baseball, but like when someone hits that thing and the whole crowd is like that. That feeling is something. And why you go to baseball games? I'm assuming you're waiting for the home run. At least I would be, because it's so slow. The whole thing is so slow. But so when that happens, that's the feeling you walk away remembering, right? And you talk about those parts. And I feel like that's the thing at APT, is that if you're open to it, but there's something about the nature that puts it on another level, like why Wrigley Field is Wrigley Field, right? I mean, it's what it is, right? The history of the place and the kind of open air and all, right? I mean,
I think so. Absolutely.
There's something about walking up that hill and after not being in the woods or being under the stars and outdoors. Most of us aren't. Most of us aren't camping on the regular, but a lot of our audience is camping, I guess. Right? But I mean, and then you thrust yourself into that environment. There's something, other pores of your body and thoughts that are happening when you're out in that kind of space that I think actually opens you up in a way that that participation, coming to make something happen.
I absolutely think so.
And it's a different kind of.
There's a ritual element to that theater that, I mean, from the whatever pre-gaming you're doing in the parking lot to the walk up the hill. I love that people come, they eat and drink together in this communal
bread.
sense. Exactly. And then they're walking, they take this journey up to this hallowed space, and they go on this, I guess it's another journey. I mean, they go through this experience together.
Right.
And then at the end, it's starlight and crickets and all these things as the world comes softly back in, as opposed to the harsh way it can in other places.
Yeah. Lights up.
But it's like it eases back in, and then you've got
that walk
the
down the
same
hill.
winding walk back down to like. It's how all this stuff can just settle in. We have a chance to go through it, and then also have that buffer and that time to experience
decompress
it.
and
It's not like you got to get back on the L. Or put up with traffic or all these other things. Like, I mean, there is a little bit of traffic
in the parking lot. Also part of the experience.
Though that's where I recommend the second pregame, the second tailgate.
Then you just sit out there, and you sit by, look at the stars, and have you're driving home, so everybody but the driver has another cocktail. Yes. So we're all about words, APT. We think words are important to try to be impeccable with them and mean what you say. On stage enough, right? We work hard on that. We don't always do it. But what's your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yep.
Oh, man. I love liminal.
Liminal.
Yeah.
What's liminal mean?
Like a liminal space or a liminal time.
Liminal,
It's like an in between. It's a transition period. Like Twilight's a liminal time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Liminal.
And I think it's because I'm fascinated by liminal spaces, anyways. Like it's where magic seems to happen.
Liminal.
You think of like the gloaming, which is just such a great word, anyways.
That's a good word too.
And of course, there was a very famous Cubs home run in the gloaming. Just throwing
Was
that
there?
out there. Oh yeah.
We're going to show some clips from his favorite Cub. No, we're not.
I'm just saying that baseball has a lot of poetry too, which is one of the reasons I love baseball.
J.R. Sullivan tried to explain that to me for an entire evening over I don't know how many drinks I needed to get through that conversation. I'm joking. I love to kid people about baseball because they're always like, you don't get it. It's like scotch. You don't understand.
But the true baseball fans, they're like true APT fans. They're not waiting for the homer. They're enthralled with, what are you going to throw? You're behind the hitter, 2-0. There's somebody on second base. You're going to go. I bet you're going to go breaking pitch. And they're calculating the pitch. They're that into the game that they're like watching the way the infielders are shifting. They're watching the way the outfielders are subtly moving to accommodate the different things. They're looking. They're that far into the game, so they don't care how much time it takes. And the best thing about baseball, the thing that makes it the most poetic, there's no clock.
There's no clock. It
Right?
drives me crazy. Oh my God, that's so funny. But I'll do that with theater. It's interesting you say that. I'll do that with theater.
And I think our audiences do that here in a way that I've rarely ever seen anywhere else.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. They are not waiting for the home run. They're not waiting for the fireworks at the end.
Yeah.
But they are waiting for the emotional.
Oh, when that home run hits, it releases the emotion that is built up. But the emotion builds through all the little steps.
I know.
And then something happens that allows that out, and then you erupt, whether it's a home run or a perfect strikeout or, somebody getting picked off on, Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to say that the one thing I have to say about baseball is that they even look bored playing it.
You're conserving your energy.
Is that what's happening?
No, I don't know.
They're like, those guys just look bored. If you're not the pitcher or the. And the
you are keeping your
bored.
options open. You could be there for a while, so you're just like, all right, stay loose, stay in the moment. What do I have to do to stay here? And for a lot of people, that expression looks bored.
Yeah.
But like what you're doing is you're just keeping your senses open. You're just keeping grounded. You're keeping all those thoughts that can distract you out of the way. Good. There we go. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. I have to learn so much about it. What's your least favorite word?
Least favorite? Ooh. There's certain sounds I dislike, but I'm trying to think of.
Like when someone even says it.
Aside from like obvious, really hurtful words,
right.
Like those kind of things, like the way the word intolerant sounds
intolerant
bothers me. And the word itself but like
Sounds like what it is. Intolerant.
yeah, it's like, you know, and I don't say that to make anybody feel bad that has like that they're like, you know, gluten intolerant or that they have that they're like not
I didn't even go there.
You know what I mean? But like the idea of people who have they have that edge of their personality that that things just rub them the wrong way and they're not even going to open themselves up to the experience of another person because something about that person bothers them.
It's like cynicism.
It seems so petty and selfish to me.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I don't see everyone, like I have a hard time seeing certain people eye to eye, and I get, you know, as mad at people as anybody else does. But I think to
not tolerate,
to discount someone's experience before you even know who they are.
Yeah.
Because you just can't bring yourself like to even be open to that. Like
right.
It really bothers. Intolerance bothers me on every.
Intolerance. That's a good. It's a bad word. I agree.
Yeah.
What's Okay, so this is good. Because I always forget that we have this after that. So what if you had one piece of advice, this idea that you could tell yourself when you're a little boy,
man,
that you know now about who you are now? Yeah, what would you say? What would you say to little Tim?
Oh man. You know, not to get too therapy about it, but
that's okay.
I would say it's worth believing the people who say that they value you and love you. It's worth risking that.
That they're telling you the truth?
Yeah. Because I mean, I think like a lot of people, you know, I spent a lot of time, you know, dealing with a certain level of hurt by trying to protect myself. Mm-hmm. And I still managed to form some really great friendships and other things like that. But I also I also know that I know that I caused damage to people that I care about because I didn't trust that they actually cared about me, you know? And I know that I've brought that into my work before. Mm-hmm. I know I've butted heads with people sometimes because I haven't trusted that they value me and want me in the room. I feel like I'm trying to prove something or that I'm not enough for them or other things like that, or I don't believe it. Mm-hmm. And I think that if I could actually convince young Tim to listen to me, which that's a whole other thing, that's what I'd be like, just, you might not understand this now, but there'll be a couple times like when this comes up, you know, trust it. Just
there's nothing wrong with trusting.
Take the risk.
Take the risk.
And then once you've done that, take care of that person like you want to anyways, but like all your fear tells you that you can't.
It's so interesting that you say that about like that they love you, that you're just basing it on your perception of something. Mm-hmm. And then you become an actor, which I think is fascinating. You know what I mean? That's a fascinating place to put yourself when you're walking out in front of 1,000 people who are.
Yeah. But you know what? But it's one of those things. I think I've seen this with a lot of people. You know, if you've had, and everybody's had hard times in their life. Sure, but if you've had a certain amount of that in your life, I think that there's something incredibly liberating about finding a place that allows you to just get all that emotion out, to go through scenarios that have the safety of a script behind them, but to be able to experience all of that, it's cathartic. Yeah. It is. There is a level that you can work through stuff. Now that also is what makes like some young acting unbearable to watch because it feels like a therapy session.
It's all about their feelings. Right? It's not really about what's happening. Right. But it's true that when you can get to the balance of. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
No. You.
No, but I think that as you grow as an actor, the wonderful thing is you just keep discovering, at least I keep discovering, is that it's like, oh no, it's not that I wasn't doing it right in high school. It's like, no, you still, that core, that energetic core, that stuff in there, that's your unique experience it just has all these edges and stuff, that's great.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to stop doing that. It just can't be only that, because I like for a while I went to the opposite direction of like, oh, I'm gonna be very about the words, and I'm gonna do
everybody has to go through that
classical theater in this way that's blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
okay, great. But like, I think what I'm excited about now is I'm figured out those ways to be like, where's that experience?
Right there.
And, and let's just let that inform. Shine your light through the little pinholes of this character.
Shine your light through the little pinholes of this character.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing about trusting.
Yeah.
That if you do that, it'll be enough, or it'll be good enough, or it'll be brilliant, or it'll be beautiful, or they'll love you.
I mean, that's what makes why is that scene with Carrie one of my favorite scenes that I've ever done up here? Because it just, these two people are personalities that had a lot of joy and love for one another. It came out in that. We didn't fight it. We just let it be there. James was like, "That's it. Do that. That's perfect."
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. That was great. Thank you. That was terrific. I love you, Tim. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.